Hello and welcome back to another episode of The Weekly Brief. My name is Brianna Knibbs, and this week I will be bringing you the latest coverage and developments on this week's news. There's a lot of breaking news I wanted to get into. Let's start with the breakdown of the election, where New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy has won the governor re-election against his opponent, Jack Ciattarelli, after an unexpected tight race. Governor Murphy is the first Democratic governor to be re-elected in the state of New Jersey since Brendan Byron in 1977. The governor race was the biggest surprise out of Tuesday's elections. For months, numerous polls have shown that Murphy was in the lead, even as much as 11 points, according to Monmouth University poll released last week over Ciattarelli. During election night, Ciattarelli was leading over Murphy, turning out votes in Republican stronghold districts, and did well in many suburbs across the state. That was until Wednesday morning, where Murphy's lead in the votes increased, creating a 50.2% margin over Ciattarelli's margin, which was 49.2%. New Jersey is one of the two states that hold a gubernatorial election this year. All the way to the south in the state of Virginia, Republican Glenn Youngkin won the election, beating Democrat Terry McAuliffe. The Virginia governor race has been viewed as a bellwether for the nation's politics. The former Virginia governor Terry McAuliffe's loss in a state where President Biden won a year ago was a major blow to the Democrats as the midterm elections is near the corner. Although Biden campaigned for McAuliffe, he carried some baggage along the way with a declining job approval rating and an agenda known as the Build Back Better plan that still has not been voted and passed by the House to be signed into law. Governor-elect Youngkin received the endorsement of former President Trump, but kept his distance from the former president. Meanwhile, in New York City, Eric Adams won the mayoral race, defeating his Republican opponent, Curtis Sliwa. Adams, who is currently New York's Brooklyn Borough president and former NYPD cop, is New York City's second black mayor in 31 years since the late David Dinkins. His campaign mostly focused on responding to the rising crime rate in New York City and the Covid-19 pandemic. He spent the last few months hinting the plans to do once in office. Democrats have added their paid family and medical leave to their $1.5 trillion plan to expand their social safety net. However, Senator Joe Manchin is still sticking with his stance of opposing the proposal. For months, Democrats have been battling over the spending bill, delaying the House vote on a bipartisan infrastructure plan, which are critical pieces to President Biden's agenda. Several Democrats blame the delay for the party's disappointment in Tuesday's elections. Senator Richard Blumenthal accused the Democrats of, quote, failure to deliver. Blumenthal is up for re-election in 2022. As of now, there is still no word on when the bill is actually going to be voted on. CDC now approves the Pfizer vaccine for children ages 5 to 11. Now 28 million children across the country are eligible to get vaccinated. CVS and Walgreens, the nation's two largest pharmacy chains, have already begun accepting appointments for kids in that age group. CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky signed off on the child-sized doses on Tuesday after the advisory panel recommended the vaccine. The White House has set an early January deadline for private sector employees to either be fully vaccinated or tested weekly under a new federal regulation that will affect more than 2/3 of the country's workforce. Any employer failing to meet the requirements by January 4th could be fined for nearly $14,000. Employees who are not fully vaccinated will be responsible for covering the cost of their own weekly testing. Employers will be required to provide paid time off for workers to get vaccinated and recover from any side effects starting on December 5th. The requirements followed after President Biden issued an executive order in September that requires businesses with at least 100 employees must ensure that their workers are fully vaccinated or undergoing weekly COVID-19 testing. Officials say that healthcare workers will be required to have their employees be vaccinated by January 4th if they want to receive payments from Medicare and Medicaid programs. There will be no testing opt-out option for the healthcare workers, and the rule will apply to more than 17 million people, including trainees, volunteers, and contractors, regardless of whether they interact with patients. Attorneys for the crew members of the Alec Baldwin's movie set called Rust allege that someone may have intended to sabotage the set by installing the live bullets in a box of dummy rounds. Jason Bowles, one of the attorneys for armorer Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, said in an interview on the Today Show that somebody wanted to sabotage the set to prove a point. While there is no evidence offered to prove the claim, he pointed out that several crew members walked off the set before the deadly incident. Cinematographer Helena Hutchins was killed by a live bullet in a prop gun fired by Baldwin. The now former Las Vegas Raiders wide receiver Henry Ruggs III was arrested on Tuesday and charged with DUI and reckless driving that resulted in the death of another driver. The incident took place approximately before 3:40 a.m. when Ruggs was driving at a speed limit of 156 miles per hour before crashing into another car that was caught on fire, killing the driver in that car, 23-year-old Tina Tinter. According to officials, they said that Ruggs had twice the legal limit of alcohol in his system right before the crash. Police found a firearm in his car that can be possibly lead to more serious charges of possessions of a weapon. Ruggs could face a maximum of 46 years behind bars, according to the city deputy district attorney. DUI resulting in substantial bodily harm or death and reckless driving have a maximum punishment of 20 years. Ruggs has been let go by the Raiders that same day on Tuesday. He's been playing in his second NFL season in his career with a total of 20 games with the Raiders. He is currently out on bond and is scheduled to appear in court on November 10th. And that is all for this week's coverage. You can check back next week's weekly brief where I will be bringing you more of the latest coverage and developments on the news. Don't forget to subscribe to MIC's YouTube channel and turn on your notifications so you won't miss out. Thank you all for watching and have a great week. This is Brianna Knibbs and you're watching the Weekly Brief.